Okay, so I'd just like to talk a little about exporting and sharing files in Sibelius. As Sibelius is a document-based application, there's going to be a number of situations that require you to share your Sibelius files. Each Sibelius score has an associated file that holds all the score information or document information, and you'll want to be able to distribute those files around and share them with colleagues and students, etc. So there's a number of options for doing this in Sibelius, like creating various file formats and also ways to share your files around that are quite useful as well. So just looking at these options across the top here, we've had audio exporting in Sibelius for a long time, since Sibelius 3, when we first introduced third-party virtual instruments. And native PDF export has been in Sibelius since version 7, which allows you to export your Sibelius file as a PDF file with no loss of quality. So a very welcome feature there. And exporting to a video file will create a .mov QuickTime or WMV Windows Media video that you can upload to YouTube or share in other ways that shows the Sibelius interface and your score playing back with the audio embedded as well, is a really useful way to share your files around for an audio-visual experience of the score when people don't necessarily have access to Sibelius or maybe even the third-party sound libraries that you might be using. So these three options are found under the File tab and Export area. If I click this on the left here, and you'll see these three options at the top there. I've got audio, video, which will give me a bit of a demo. We get a funny demonstration of this one. If I choose score layout, just to show something a bit more coherent, it'll give some funny results when I choose parts with this particular score, because I've done so much strange formatting for the case of the presentation. But that gives you some options here to choose the video quality, etc. And PDF file is nice and easy as well. You can do your parts and score and automate the part creation and all those kind of things as well. So moving along, you may have noticed in that same area of the File tab and Export, we had Export a Scorch web page, which has been around for a long time for displaying your score in the web browser plugin called Scorch. MIDI files, which are useful for transferring file info to audio workstation applications like Pro Tools and Logic, and Music XML is more useful for transferring between scoring applications like Finale or other notation apps that support the Music XML format. And Sibelius has had native Music XML export since version 7, so that's very useful also to maintain your score formatting and all those kind of things when you're transferring between scoring applications. And previous versions of Sibelius all the way down to version 2, that's what this one's here to represent. So you've got lots of flexibility when working or collaborating with people on a previous version of Sibelius. So all of those are also found, as I mentioned, under Export as well. So Scorch web page, also the Scorch plugin for iPad as well. This option here will optimize your score for the Scorch for iPad app that you can get through the Apple Store. It's good for viewing your scores and keeping them on file on your iPad to use it as a virtual music stand. And also, and our Music XML and MIDI options here in previous version. There's some more options here for graphic export as well. We can do all kinds of things with the various graphic file formats that I talked about previously too. And this option here, manuscript paper, is so that when you go to File tab and New, if I'll just show you quickly, you can create your own custom manuscript files that will turn up in this area here, and you can search on them and all those kind of things that you would with the default manuscript papers as well. So do consider making use of that one too. So we talked about all the image formats that we can export. That's been a very welcome improvement since Sibelius 7, and we can print our score out, of course. We'd be a bit short without that one. Just to look at the sharing features quickly as well, because they're closely related. If I head back to the File tab and Sharing area this time, which is just above Export, and we've got some, if I start at the bottom here, we've got some options here for SoundCloud, Facebook and YouTube. And what they'll do is with the Facebook and YouTube options, they will do the video they will perform the video export by default, and they will then allow you to export the video score direct to your Facebook or YouTube account using this little login button down here from within Sibelius itself, so you don't have to go to your web browser and log in that way and then manually look for the file that you've created and upload it. This will handle all of it within the Sibelius Backstage area. And publish to SoundCloud will do the same, of course, with an audio file, because SoundCloud is all about audio. This will just bring up a little login window. And we can do the same with Score Exchange if you're still using that with the web browser plugin of Scorch. But the one I think I use the most and is the most useful of all of these to me is Send using email, because we're all on email all the time while we're working. And if you're working within Sibelius and want to send your file out to students or other teachers or anyone else you might be collaborating with for some sort of project, you can certainly make use of this feature directly within Sibelius. So you just basically type in your email address. When you're ready to send it, you'll click on this. It will prompt you to log in the first time that you use the feature, and then it will just remember that information thereafter. And it gives you some really useful options here for by default attaching a PDF file as well as the Sibelius score. So it handles the PDF export and attaching for you. All you have to do is keep that option ticked. And so in the off chance that someone can't open the file in Sibelius, they can certainly open the PDF file instead. You can choose the previous version option here to handle your previous version export and attaching to the email, all within Sibelius itself. And with the PDF option, you can also choose to export the score in separate parts as one file or separate files as well. So there's a lot of things that will save you hopefully a lot of time with those default options there in the Send using email area from the new sharing options page.